Hey there folks, welcome back for another exciting video.
Ooh, I've been waiting for this.
Patrick, what are we talking about today?
Well, what I'd like to first talk about is how we both got the blue shirt memo.
Ah, yes, it is the blue shirt memo day.
Again?
Yes, again. What is the problem?
Other than that, I've been doing a little reflecting, some journaling,
Interesting.
and thought we could talk a little bit about getting started in real estate and what that was like, maybe what we wish we would have known.
Yeah.
Good idea.
But before we do that,
All right.
as always, if you like real estate,
You know I do.
you live in the Pacific Northwest,
I do.
and maybe you just want to know what it's like getting started in real estate.
I do.
Well, be sure to click that subscribe button down below for more great content just like this. I've been in real estate myself for 6 going on 7 years now. And
Years and years ago.
Patrick, what about you?
This is my second full year, 2.5.
Yeah. And, you know, one of the big things I feel like is no one really tells you how to do this job. In Oregon, you take an 150-hour course online, typically. And then you go and you take 2 tests, one for state and one for national. And you pass the test, and then, or in my instance, you fail the test twice, and then you pass once by a very slim margin. 3rd time's the try.
That's intimidating.
3 times as charm.
3rd time is the trying charm.
They say the third time's the charm.
It's important.
Oregon Real Estate Agency, it is an important test,
Yeah.
but it really has very little bearing on your everyday life and your job.
Thank God.
So much of what we do extends beyond the scope of just knowing what meets and bounds are and how many acres are in a lot. I don't know.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
it was just really tedious. And so, you know, you pass the test. In my instance, what happened was I passed the test. I'd been taking the coursework while I was working, and then I quit my job as soon as I passed, and I said, all right, I'm gonna do this.
You jumped right in.
Jumping right into it, huh?
Jumped right in, had a nest egg that I was living off of, and then I was working bar security at night, and then getting up early in the morning and going to the grind, you know, sitting in my office and thinking about what I had done.
It's instinct, okay? I just went for it.
You go into it and there's a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. For myself, I mean, I just moved here to Portland 4 years prior to that, and I didn't really, or 3 years prior, and I didn't really know anyone. I moved here pretty much just like, not on a whim, but I just didn't have a circle. And so I spent the first couple years in this business just making a lot of new friends and making a lot of new connections with people. It was really a slog.
But I'd spent a lot of time, put a lot of effort into it, got very excited.
There were a lot of times where I was worried I'm not going to make my rent, I'm not going to be able to do this long term, I'm gonna have to go back to the job that I was working before that I wasn't very happy doing.
Not my favorite.
And, you know, it just kind of seemed like there was no way out. I was lucky enough to be able to partner up with a more senior agent, and I worked as their, not like assistant, but like buyer's agent assistant hybrid role. They were a lot more tenured, they had a lot more experience than I did, and I was just able to like absorb like constant information from them.
I learn, I absorb information.
They were just busy, and so I was able to see a lot of houses. I was able to get a much better understanding for negotiations, for contracts, for client relationships, things I would do and then things I wouldn't do. You know, it showed me what I wanted to be in this industry.
That's what I want to be, sir.
I feel very crucial to my success today. So I think if I had a do-over and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get started in this business, I would have immediately joined a team.
Go join your team.
I would have immediately gone out and sought out someone who had experience in this industry because A, I would have been learning a ton right off the bat, and B, I'd be able to get income for it. You know, a lot of these team situations, they'll feed you a client and they'll say, hey, you work this person and then we're going to give you a portion of the commission from it.
That's a good idea.
That was probably the biggest initial takeaway for me.
Noted.
What about you? What was your initial experience?
Yeah, I mean, I had it a little bit lucky because I got to sort of see you do the work and see sort of your path from solo to a team and then back to solo once you really had your footing. So I felt like I got a leg up to start for sure. And so I'm super appreciative of that.
I appreciate that you appreciate that.
What you don't always hear about or know, and you just have to learn, is it's incredibly expensive to be a real estate agent.
Yeah.
What?
You have all of these associations and fees and dues. You've got to make sure you've got a nest egg in place, and that nest egg is not enough.
I always tell people you want to have at least 6 months of survivable income in your bank.
So I started saving money from my paycheck.
You know, I didn't really get paid for my whole first year in real estate. And so I was working the whole time, and you know, thankfully had a nice chunk of cash coming into it. It is wildly expensive, and it is definitely a feast or famine type industry.
Yeah, because you've got to put yourself out there, and so there's a lot of just sweat equity, but there's also like marketing that needs to be done so that you can put yourself forward and people can see you and give you the opportunity to have a conversation even. And so there's just there's a lot that goes into it, and it's cost prohibitive for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Please take note.
And that doesn't even necessarily just apply to people that's getting started. I would say,
Yeah.
you know, in this industry, there are slow points. And so building up a nest egg and maintaining that, you know, when it's busy, think about when it's not going to be. Plan ahead. Like, have the funds in pocket so that you aren't sweating it as much and you're not completely under the gun of I have to close a deal or I have to close shop. Because that's what we're seeing a lot of people doing right now.
Yeah.
You know, the market has shifted into more of a skills-based market, and the people who had experience coming into real estate in our probably busiest season ever.
Yeah, people coming in right at COVID and hitting that sort of sweet spot.
Yeah.
Don't know what a real normal market is. That is not normal, or was not normal. Yeah.
This is the new way.
So, you know, being scrappy is a lot more important. Having a network is a lot more important, but I digress. You know, it's just important to have some savings.
Yeah.
For sure.
Old age, honey. Start saving now.
So the next item, from my perspective, that I wish I had known about coming into this industry was you're not going to start off busy. That's just a reality. Well, for most people, a reality, unless you have some really robust network, or you're not going to have a whole lot of income coming your way or really find yourself that busy. But when you do find yourself busy, you're going to want to be prepared to scale with that. And so the biggest thing that I feel like I should have been more prepared for was like having systems.
It's a plan. It's a brilliant plan.
Planning ahead for when that time comes. So that means having a client relationship management tool of some capacity that allows you to stay out in front of your clients and the people that you care about and that you want to stay in touch with. Having a marketing plan, having a marketing calendar, being able to effectively, you know what your monthly budget is. Things like that just really don't come to mind when all you're thinking about is how am I going to close my first deal?
You gotta think big picture.
Who's going to want to work with me? Like, if you work hard, that will happen. But if you don't plan ahead, then if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
I don't want to fail.
If you don't have that insight up front, when you get busy, you're not going to have time to put in systems for yourself. You're going to be more or less burning yourself out on all ends. You're not going to be able to scale up past a certain point.
You will create the perfect system.
I think for me, one of the things that was really important and continues to be important, right, is just knowledge. And so for me, I had a really strong knowledge and awareness of the city because I born and grew up here, but I didn't necessarily know like styles of houses or ins and outs of negotiation. And so it's being honest, but knowing your resources and leaning on them heavily. And so finding person in the business that you can trust, that can be a mentor for you.
Find a mentor.
I mean, you were that for me, as well as our PB at our brokerage. You've found several mentors throughout here and people who've been in the business for a long time.
Sure.
The mentor I've always been looking for.
I have a lot of pride. Like, that is one of my major I wouldn't call it a shortcoming, but that's one of my weaknesses, is that I am very prideful about the amount of effort that I put into the work I do, which is great, but it also, in some cases, at least early on, really limited me in my capacity to absorb from other people. And I wish I had spent more time connecting with the agents around me and absorbing the information they had to share. Ultimately, it does funnel back into that, like, hey, go join a team, go work for someone. But having that relationship at a baseline is so huge.
You've got to do a lot of the work yourself. And so it's driving around the city, it's knowing the ins and outs of the neighborhoods, it's knowing different styles of homes, what people are looking for, what the market is doing.
Yeah.
And it's just all of these resources and pulling them together and continuing to do that, whether you're just starting or you've been doing it for 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
The people that are successful are the people that continue to learn and grow.
We're gonna keep learning as we go.
So the next one I'd love to talk about is going to be structure.
Structure.
So structure for real estate, most realtors are not going to have a lick of context for what that means. They're working while they're working and they're not while they're not. Or they're always working, but kind of in like a non-intentional way. They're just kind of being reactive versus proactive. So building out a schedule for yourself of what you do every single day.
A jam-packed schedule.
In the morning, you're spending X number of hours prospecting, or in the afternoon, you're spending X number of hours working on your business. And then later in the afternoon, working in your business. There's a nuance there. Working on your business is following up on current business that you have going on, whether that's a transaction, this, that, or the other. And working in your business is more so focused on building out systems and structure and working on your marketing or working on this, that, or the other. So having consistency in how you operate every day is what makes a successful realtor.
I want to be the best.
Maintaining systems, maintaining structure in how you operate every day is going to keep you successful as a professional here.
Self-discipline.
The next one for me is the mindset going into the business and knowing you're not going to always hear yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be challenging. That can be really tough. You can take it personally, or you can know that that is part of the business and it can hold you back and stop you here, or you power through and know, okay, on to the next one, on to the next one.
Don't take it personally.
Because you're going to hear no a lot. Maybe I'm not ready to buy or sell, or
hey, I hate you, never call me again.
yeah.
The statistics you have to look at, for every X number of no's, there's going to be one yes.
Yeah.
Okay, keeping it positive.
So the repetition is so crucial there. And with that, in the context of mindset is, experience with mindset was I had a lot of negative self-talk where I would regularly tell myself, you are not good enough. People are going to be annoyed when you reach out to them. You're just bothering people. In some cases, sure. Some people will react poorly when you reach out to them. Some people may not perceive you as being good enough, which I think is honestly a bit more of a reflection about themselves than it is about you.
You are good.
My first ever broker in real estate told me this, my managing broker. He said, and I think it's a Dr. Seuss quote, but I set a reminder for myself on my phone 6 years ago. It's still on my phone to this day because I need to remember this, which is those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind.
Shepard, take note.
You need to focus on the people who are going to appreciate the work that you do, and you need to maintain the belief and the mindset that you are going to be helpful, that you are going to be appreciated.
Thank you for the kind words.
And when you lose that, it becomes a lot easier to wash out of this business. Whether that's, repeating a mantra to yourself every single morning, or giving yourself a pep talk, or blowing past it and saying, I'm gonna keep working.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah, I mean, there are literally 10,000 agents in the Portland area.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important not to get caught up on that sort of imposter syndrome or like getting bogged down with the no. You need to just know who you are and who do you want to work with? Who is your client?
Yeah.
Because there's space for that. Knowing who you want to work with, those people will gravitate towards you.
Yeah.
Manifested.
Wow. Well, yeah, a lot of really great information here. Again, if I knew all of this going into it, I feel like I'd be in such a different place professionally.
But I think part of that too is just like having gone through that has really set you up in a good way. Like sometimes to go through a little bit of a struggle to really appreciate and find who you are and who you want to be. And I think that applies to really a lot of things, not just real estate.
You may find value in this information, or some of it, or all of it, but if you take something away from it, awesome.
That was amazing.
It's tough to have a context for it while you're in it, but it's a lot easier to see things when you're out of it finally. But I hope you got a lot of value out of this today. If you ever want to chat or talk about how to be effective in this market, feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to talk. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for us.
All right.
We hope you had a great time with us today and enjoyed listening to our big takeaways from our first few years in the business.
Totally love it.
Love it. I love
If you like what you saw here today, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more great content just like this. But we want to hear from you. What in the real estate profession are you curious to hear more about? Let us know down in the comments below. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for coming by. We hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.